Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to a brand new episode of Robot Wars episode reviews. We got the Northern Annihilator out of the way. Now it's time for the Southern Annihilator. And yes, all the robots are actually from the south this time. So because there's more, all the good robots come from the south. Let's face it, for the most part. But or at least memorable ones. But joining me for this little escapade, it is the Hardcore Kid, aka Brandon.
Howdy, partner. Ready to get annihilated? Yeehaw!
Very southern indeed, I like that. And once again, joining us, you saw him obviously in the Tag Team Terror, and you will see him in a future video that will happen sometime. Secrets for now, of course. It is Owain Ratcliffe.
Hello.
Hello. He's here. Yes, but the super secret video, do not mention. Obviously, we recorded that one yesterday, I think it was. Or probably, yeah, definitely yesterday. My memory is shit, so. But, yes, the Southern Annihilator. It's not as good as the Northern Annihilator, but definitely still a good one. I mean, unfortunately, it does suffer from that Annihilator syndrome where one round has to be skipped because it's only one round at least, compared to some other robots where like you have two robots skipping out, especially in Extreme later on, and a certain Annihilator. But
let's put it this way: it was the best Annihilator that didn't have all the rounds.
I agree. Yeah, some other ones definitely suffered, especially the second Extreme one. Was
Series 7 as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, Series 7, that was pretty dire as well, but...
Well, you know what I think one of the biggest factors between the Northern and Southern Annihilators is the Northern Annihilator had a lot of really powerful and potentially destructive machines like Dominator 2, Kilohertz, Spikosaurus, and this one... These machines, they were a lot slower and they weren't really as damaging. You had a couple scoop flippers, you had a little thwack bot, a little spike. There wasn't really as much destructive capacity as the bots in the Northern Annihilator. But I will say, there were points where I did like this Annihilator, but there were times where it did come off as kind of dull. But,
yeah. Also, it has a certain robot on it, which the producers keep trying to give it an easier and easier time, and I'll give them credit, they actually tried to give it a little bit, some sort of challenge or something like Behemoth, obviously, but obviously, briefly go for the robots, of course. The first one is the almighty...
Oh, can I do this?
Yeah, sure, if you want to.
Okay, so first we got Razor, and then we got Razor, and then the third robot is Razor, fourth robot is obviously Razor, and then we got Razor, and the last robot is Razor.
And his name is Razor!
Oh,
God. That meme will never die.
Razor got so much airtime in this episode. All the other fives just seem like robots in the background.
Actually, better question. When does Razor not get all the airtime when it's in an episode?
True.
I mean, even like, yeah, thankfully they didn't give it like the most whitewash, like something like in its heat in Series 3 or the International League, which are pretty much just... I mean, at least the World Championship gave it some kind of chance over the Chaos 2 and Behemoth, but here it was just... This didn't actually gave you Behemoth again, and gave him a chance to have some kind of revenge in a way, but didn't really work out in the end. But, yeah, Razor pretty much got to run rampant.
Yeah, that's like one of the big issues I have with Razor, and it's not even really in the design or anything, but yeah, like I said, I consider it the John Cena of Robot Wars based on the fact that once they got the reliability issues figured out, it was virtually invincible. Like in this episode, in that second match, it was ganged up on by everybody. It still came back and eliminated two machines, and then from that,
Cena versus the Nexus style,
pretty much everybody, and then from then on, it just kept winning and winning and winning until eventually Tornado had to stop it, and yeah, Pussycat got that win in, but since then, nothing could stop Razor basically.
Yeah, it was one of those robots, and possibly it didn't help that two of the robots, which I'll mention when we get to them later, were very easy to chomp on. Very, very easy robots to kind of grab a hold of. Even robots like Behemoth, and, well, I didn't really get a Tillodrome at all, really, but they could have had some kind of chance to them, but...
Well, to be fair, all but one of these robots were easy to chomp on. Not just two of them.
Yeah. Speaking of
all
that,
of them had big meaty edges that Razor could just clamp on.
Actually, speaking of the robot that was very hard to grab a hold of, it was Onslaught. Obviously, you can tell this was filmed after Series 4 because they were working. So it was such a shame. Obviously, in their heat, they weren't able to make it. But here, they actually got to show off their self-rising mechanism a bit. Actually, got to show off their flipper was actually much improved over that really shitty one in Series 3. It just lifted like 2 feet.
In Series 3, they could not lift Beast of Bobbin. In this, they were lifting Behemoth, Razor, Spawn and Scudder with no trouble.
Actually, at one point, they lifted up Razor whilst grabbing onto Spawn and Scudder at the same time, which is pretty impressive. And again,
it's the smallest of the bunch.
Hands down the best robot with car steering, because car steering is generally not the best way of driving a robot in general, but this one is definitely probably the one that's managed to actually work the best out of all robots that had it. Although, it's a shame actually, because of how well it worked in this Annihilator. If it had been in Series 4, it might have at least had... I mean, it was in Hypnodisc heat, so it wouldn't have won it probably, but it would have been a bit more impressive to see than just its kind of lackluster Series 3 performance, really. And Series 2, it just broke down, so it didn't really have any chance to do anything.
I will say, I think that they were fortunate to pull out of Hypnodisc seat, because I could not have seen them take on Hypnodisc and come out in one piece, because... I really do think the Southern Annihilator was Onslaught pretty much at their best, because they were going up against all these bots. They held up to Razor, which, considering how many machines have gone up against Razor and just got absolutely mollered in like 30 seconds, they just kept on going and going and going until eventually their wheels fell apart and they got flipped by Matilda, and that was pretty much it for them.
Yeah, that's one thing about Onslaught in this episode. It was very durable. In the final against Razor, I'm not sure if Razor was holding back or anything, but it could not get through.
I was under the impression they were holding back because they wanted to save up all their hydraulic fluid for the epic thing that happens at the end.
Yes.
And we'll get to that.
We'll definitely get to that. But it's such a shame, really, because this is probably, I would agree, it's Onslaught's finest hour, this Southern Annihilator. It's a shame because the next year it just kind of goes out really easily to tetanus. It wasn't really much. I mean, apart from this is probably the only time Onslaught has really been outstanding in any kind of feel. Every other time it's been kind of there, it was, in Series 2, it was kind of there. I mean, you got to push on Nemesis, but again, it's Nemesis. Beast of Bodmin taking it.
In Series 2.
It was decent in Series 2, but again, and then Beast of Bodmin in Series 3 just killed itself, if anything. And in Series 5, again, taken out really easily. It's a shame, really, because again, it was it wasn't much difference in Series 4 and 5 version of Onslaught, but obviously apart from maybe the weight gain. But it was definitely one of those robots I always enjoyed watching, and Series 4 this was the only time in Series 4 it ever does anything, so it was nice to see it do something a lot. It wasn't disappointing, at least. It wasn't a round one robot. Speaking of doing absolutely nothing, Attila the Drum.
Oh, come on!
I like Attila the Drum.
No, I like it, but it didn't do anything. I'm standing by that. I'm not saying I don't like Attila the Drum. I just don't. It just in this Southern Annihilator, it was almost. I mean, it was like Stinger in the last one, at least, is so well controlled. Attila the Drum was not a well controlled thwackbot, and it didn't. No, and it didn't really help. It was against loads of robots that were much more maneuverable than it. So
two things I want to say about Attila the Drum. When I first saw this episode when it aired on Robot Wars Grand Champions in the US, I wanted Attila the Drum to win just because of how cool it looked. And you know what? It probably could have, because throughout the Annihilator, Razor could not get a hold of this thing.
That's the robot I was on about earlier that Razor couldn't get a hold of, not Onslaught.
Because if there is one kind of robot that could be capable of beating Razor, it's a thwackbot, a big axobot, because there wasn't any body that Razor could grab a hold of. And it has been confirmed since Nuts beat Razor. And Nuts is a axobot.
Yes, Nuts beat Razor, yes.
Yep, that Killy Cranky, nope. All that spinning made Razor.
You can't see on the cam, but I'm doing quotations with my fingers.
Me too. all that spinning made Razor dizzy. It got disoriented, and it drove itself into the pit.
Indeed. No, I don't hate Attila the Drum. I just don't think it. I think it's the problem is, again, it just wasn't. The thing about a thwackbot is, if you don't know how to control them, they are pretty much useless. You have to know how to, something like Gabriel or Stinger actually had some. Gabriel's obviously a lot more controlled than Stinger, but at least Stinger boys eventually kind of got some kind of control in there. Attila the Drum was one of those robots they kind of...
They did?
Well, a little bit. I mean, they knew how to get some good hits and stuff with the spin. Yeah, when to spin and when to not to spin.
Put it this way, you don't make a grand final if you can't control your robot.
Yeah, they had some degree. Attila the Drum lost because they had no control in their fight. They just wandered around doing nothing, and that's kind of what they did in this one as well. I mean, again, Razor couldn't grab a hold of him, which is true, but at the same time, it didn't. It was the only reason it got through is because it didn't really get into the action very much to be attacked enough.
One thing I was impressed by Attila was the amount of damage it actually did to Razor.
Yeah, it did actually,
It did the most damage with a flail.
Yeah. Mind you, I say that, and then the next series, Big Nipper breaks the self-righting mechanism on one side. So
by touching it.
yeah, by running into it, not even using the weapon, just kind of running into it slightly and breaking up.
I was. If it was Big Nipper as we know it versus Razor, then Razor wouldn't stand a chance.
Indeed. And then, of course, we have Behemoth, who went out under mysterious circumstances.
AKA broken gear, as usual.
As usual.
Can I just say, Razor clamping into the wheel guards of Behemoth is one of the most satisfying things I've ever seen in Robot Wars.
Oh, you love
the way it just folded in.
In that case, you loved the. I'm gathering you loved the final of the World Championship then.
Yeah.
Razor clawing in.
It's just the way the beak just melted into the wheel guards. Oh, that was just perfect.
I mean, Behemoth's side bit was so perfect for Razor to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And you know, Behemoth is the one machine that is capable of beating Razor, and it kind of should have in both times of face, because in the All-Star event, Behemoth flipped Razor over, and Razor was pretty much dead, but time ran out at that point. So, and also in the World Championship, they just kept pressurizing Razor until Behemoth looked like it was, I don't know, having gear trouble or something, and then that just gave Razor the opportunity to just bite right through it.
Bad luck, Behemoth. It always will be.
Razor and Behemoth have never had a bad match, to be honest.
No, they've all been good.
Yeah, I think because they've got like kind of. Any one of the two could have the advantage depending on how the match goes and how the driving goes, because they're both usually well driven to a degree, and obviously these robots are very different. One's a flipper, one's a crusher, but they always feel evenly matched somehow. It's weird.
Yeah,
but I would have loved to see how Razor would have fared against the current Behemoth, because Behemoth's now a lot faster. And
I think Behemoth would have beaten Razor. Sure. Honestly, it's just, I mean, the flipper's so much more powerful. This one, it's more just like a lifter. In Series 8, as we've seen it in Series 8 onwards, it's pretty much it is a massive flipper, but just bulldoze flipper. Yeah, so Behemoth just kind of, again, it's unluckiness once again. I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, Behemoth can win every series if they just were slightly unlucky," but at the same time, it's continuing. Again,
it's the sort of robot that if you put it up against any all-star, it's gonna have a good match in it, but it can also always lose to a rookie robot. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I mean they lost. I mean. In Series, I don't want to spoil if anyone hasn't seen Series 5. I know, if Mike listens to these podcasts and stuff, but in Series 5, they got beat.
It's over 10 years old. If they haven't seen it, it's their own fault.
No, I'm talking about this because people like Mike, who does his live reviews, he doesn't want, because he hasn't seen it, remember? So, he listens to this podcast. I'm saying in Series 5,
that's
though.
Your fault, Mike.
It's his fault, but I will say, no, I'm not spoiling anything, but in Series 5, their loss is a bit unfortunate, but very well timed, but very unfortunate. It's not as humiliating as their. I've always seen this one, but the Annihilator qualifier in Extreme, that was pretty funny. Behemoth, getting launched.
I think he just saw that episode.
Yeah, he saw that. I'm saying seeing that one. I'm saying I just loved how Behemoth got flipped completely, head over heels.
That was a great flip.
It was a great flip.
I'm just waiting for tomorrow because Mike covers my favourite episode of Robot Wars ever.
The Annihilator, first Annihilator.
Oh yeah, that one's really great. I like that one.
Arnold Day. Arnold Day is the MVP.
Yeah, I love Arnold Day.
I love him. Just a shame he didn't win, but he put up a very good fight.
He could have. It was very close.
Oh, it was very close.
You know what? No disgrace losing to Pussycat.
Oh hell no! It's a great robot.
And they took it to a judge's decision. Not everyone can say they took Pussycat to a judge's decision.
True. Yeah, Claude Hopper can say that though.
Or General Chomps a lot.
Oh, General Chomps a lot. Yeah. So I think Stinger didn't. Actually,
Stinger did.
Oh, yes. Stinger did. Yeah, Stinger did. So yeah, the next one was very grabbable. Of course, it is Spawn of Scudder.
The biggest invincible robot they ever was.
And also a robot that is a line of robots that is considered very reliable. Very reliable. I mean, they didn't really have a. They didn't have a very good Annihilator.
James, I'm getting tired of listening to you lie every week.
I'm sorry. I'm a serial liar. What can you say? They are the most reliable robots ever since Razor from Series 2 to 4. But
I will say this. I will say this. Spawn of Scudder, in the two matches we saw, the spike was working really well. It flipped Razor over like nothing. But I think, in all due respect, I think they should have gone through the second round because Behemoth at the end was just virtually dead, and Spawn of Scudder up until the last few seconds was working, and then Razor bit into it, and then it just stopped as well. So
Yeah, Behemoth died first, didn't it?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
no, Behemoth was like it kind of was still moving, but it was very like slight.
It was
It wasn't
hiccups
control
here.
movement.
It was limping. I mean, in the long run, it didn't make much of a difference anyway, because Behemoth ends up ultimately crashing out in the next round anyway. But you know, it was.
Why didn't they just reinstate Spawn and Scutter then?
I have no idea. In all honesty, I personally don't know why Spawn and Scuttle was eliminated. But I mean, although in fairness, knowing Spawn and Scuttle, they would have probably died next round anyway, because it's a Scuttle robot, and they
They
like.
would have had the 5 rounds.
Yeah, at least we would have had a 5 rounds. That would have been a lot better. But you know, this is Robot Wars. You know, classic Robot Wars. There are bullshit stuff happening.
Even aren't allowed to make sense.
No, even in Series 4 things, you know, and this is a series of weird decisions and bits and rules and stuff happening. So not surprised if this happens right now.
Stinger and Chaos do equal amounts of damage.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then finally, one robot that again I've never really cared about, but it always keeps appearing for some reason. Is the last time we see it is this name obviously is a Vercingetorix, soon to be Commongetorix in Extreme onwards. Yeah.
God bless the team. I like the design. I know they were going with that classic Mortis style axe and lifter design, but between all the radio reception issues, weapon issues, the track issues, and all kinds of insanity, it isn't really all that great a robot. They have 3 wins to their name. One of which was the 3-way at the beginning of Series 4, which it did well. And the second win was when everyone's radios went insane and the match had to be stopped. And in the third match, which was with Smidsy and Saint Agro and Warhog, it won the match, but it was again driving around like crazy and almost went into the pit. It's like
It was still a fantastic match, though.
it was great, but it leaves a lot to be desired, really.
It's one of those robots that you just look at the robot and think nothing special, but the team is what makes it. Like, the team are just full of personality.
Hands down, I love the team way more than I love the robots.
Sort of like the Morgue team.
Yeah.
Like, you forget the robot,
Yeah.
but the team was what made it fun.
Yeah, actually, even Sir Chromler, honestly, because the robot's not that. It's just a circular silver thing, but the team is so
a
great.
wheel.
Yeah, it's pretty much a wheel, but just stick something on it every series. But then,
Well, when you have a robot that doesn't work, you need to have personality for your team. I mean, look at Napalm in Extreme in Series 5. You got David Crosby dressed up in his fancy-ass suit like a Bond villain, and meanwhile, his machine looks less than class act.
yeah, hands down.
And not really a big fan of David Crosby, to be honest.
Or Craig Danby.
Craig.
He's finally got his machine working, and we're hopefully carpooling to Robo Games next year. So that should be a lot of fun.
We need that hoodie. That's all I can say. We need the hoodie.
Yeah. It's not a onesie; it's a hoodie.
I know it's not a onesie. Some people are idiots and clearly don't know the difference in a onesie and a hoodie, but whatever. But Vercingetorix, the / Commongetorix, the whole line is. I mean, actually, I do like the axe in this series. It was actually in the main series anyway. It got some use, and it did get a little chunk on Razor, I think, and it actually get a few little jabs.
One little jab.
A little jab. It's something. It's something. It's better than just going out.
It's better than the axe head they used in Series 6.
Oh god.
Put it that way.
The less we saw about that one, the better. It's not. As I said, never can be more embarrassing than Exterminator's axe this series. Dear God, that is the worst accent I've seen on
I'm surprised that thing didn't bend every time it hit something.
It wobbled a little bit when it hit, that's all I could tell. But, yes, these are the 6 robots from the Southern Annihilator, who actually are from the south, so that's always nice to see. In fact, Vercingetorix being from the Isle of Wight, which is really south, so that's one of the most southern you could get, potentially. But
I'm from the south, does that mean I can be in this?
Yeah, sure, why not? Just go in there with Matilda, see what happens.
Is that why you picked me for this episode?
Yeah, I guess so, I don't know. I just
where do Alex and Anderson come from?
Anderson is I think he's from the Midlands but lives in the south now, and Alex lives near Newcastle, so he's in the north. He's not in the south.
Alright, so
I live in Newport, which is in the south of Wales. So.
Yeah.
I live in New Jersey, which is in the north, so I don't know why the hell I'm here.
Because why not? Eh? Why not?
Oh yeah, because this was one of the first Robo Wars episodes I ever watched, so why not?
That's the reason why. But anyway, let's get to the rounds. Round 1 is always the most chaotic, usually. Maybe this one, and definitely round 1 and 2. I think round 2 is always more chaotic, but in round 1, it wasn't as chaotic as the Southern Northern Annihilator.
Round 2 was more controlled chaos.
Yeah, this one wasn't as chaotic as the Northern Annihilator's first round, but I think everyone just went... But you got things like Chaos 2 and and Chaos, and you got Stinger, and you got Psychosaurs bumping around. But here you just got a lot of more well-controlled robots doing a lot of their action. I mean, I just, again, you talk about satisfying crunches. I love going when Razor went through Vercingetorix. Just
that looks amazing.
It's so clean, and it shows you how again Razor at this stage was still a viable crusher as opposed to now, where it's probably pretty much one of the most outdated things ever. But
didn't they have some crazy, wacky name for Vercingetorix's armor?
I think they did. I can't.
They said it in the episode, but I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
It says made of Lexan and Kevlar, which, let's be honest, anything can get through that.
It was Julia that said it, and I usually zone out when Julia's talking. So,
all right, here it says monocroak.
What?
Monocroak.
Bifurcated Casium 324. I have no goddamn idea what that is.
It looked like blue polycarbonate, though.
It's Kevlar and Lexan. That's all you really need to know.
Casium 324 sounds like a phone. The new Casium 324.
I never actually noticed this until I watched this episode earlier. But I didn't know that Vercingetorix's shell just lifts forward like a car boot.
Yeah, it does. It's one of those little quirks in the older robots they used to have.
Yeah, I never noticed that. I never noticed there was all this one piece that lifted forward.
Yeah, actually, I also got to see Onslaught self-righting mechanism happen because I know it was really fun to see. It was just like a little bar that sticks out the front. It kind of reminds you of Storm 2's quote-unquote active weapon in Series 8.
It looks really cool.
Or Crackers and Smash's little Crackers or Smash. I forget which one it is.
It looked really smooth.
Crackers is the lifter.
That's the lifter, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, because Smash.
It looked really smooth when it was self-righting.
It was beautiful, wasn't it? It's almost like Arnold Terminator's one, where it kind of sticks out the side and stuff. Or like what Cerberus tried to do, it didn't really work out properly. But yeah, I mean, Razor would just kind of wander around chomping on everything. Apart from
it really shows again, like the big difference between the Northern and Southern Annihilator. You have a lot of fast robots. These ones were a lot slower, a lot more controlled, and and I prefer. It's good to have controlled machines, but sometimes it doesn't really make for a whole exciting matchup. And a lot of this was just a lot of ramming, bumping, the occasional lift. The Razor basically giving Vercingetorix the hug of death, basically.
I tend to disagree, Brandon. In my eyes, the Annihilator should be chaotic and just everywhere.
Chaotic with just a little more excitement to it.
So the ones with the more controlled robots are actually a bit more boring to me.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I said. The Northern Annihilator was a lot more fun because it had a lot of crazy machines.
Yeah, I didn't hear that bit.
And this one was just a little bit more dull since it was mostly just scoops and rambots just bumping into each other.
Yeah, and through all this chaos, I say chaos, wasn't really much chaos. Vercingetorix aerial, I believe, was the one that got damaged, which ended up breaking. It
tucked into itself.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, that was a very, very, very unfortunate thing to happen. But again, Vercingetorix is a very reliable robot, as we've found out over the years. So,
question.
Yep.
When Vercingetorix is being interviewed by Julia later, they say that Razor didn't score the finishing shot. It was the aerial that tucked into itself. So, what was that battery that Razor got off Vercingetorix as a trophy later in the episode?
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't. Maybe they just wanted to give them some kind of keepsake, and they thought battery. You won't need that. I don't know.
I thought maybe they chomped into that battery, didn't they?
Maybe. It didn't look very damaged.
It's got a
though.
massive hole in it.
So that might be this keepsake then. Yes. I'm surprised that didn't do damage. Like break the whole robot in all honesty, as opposed to the aerial.
That's what I was saying. If that didn't finish off the robot, then what was that battery for?
Maybe it's just maybe I had multiple ones. I don't know. Or maybe it was just, maybe it was kind of like some robots where they can, like, if they have one battery, damaged. Some they can still power out the other batteries, I guess, and maybe just reserve battery or something. Kind of overusing. But
they're so used to breakdown, so yeah, that makes sense for them actually.
It's a bit like how bit like how Behemoth in Series 9. Yeah, lost from the chain, but still quite a lot of redundancy, so it's still able to use, still able to move properly.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of chain drive because those things can fall off so easily, and then your robot's all completely wrecked. That's why I go. I go with Gears of War, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3. I'm still waiting on Gears of War 4.
Aww.
I still haven't played a single one of those games all the way through.
They're fun.
They are pretty fun. I've only played the first one, but I intend to play the second and third one. But anyway, enough about...
I played the first one, but gave up after the third level.
Yeah. Anyway, so Vercingetorix, because of a wonky aerial, little Plunderbird callback though, ended up being eliminated, and then the second round was probably slightly more chaotic with some small, more highlights happening. Again, my favourite part, I mentioned it before, was Onslaught lifting up Razor whilst grabbing onto Spawner Scudder.
Yeah. It shows just how strong Onslaught is, and it's good that they were finally able to show off what it's capable of doing. Just
Onslaught's finest moment.
Lifting up about 330 pounds of robot up into the air like nothing. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
How much power this little thing has.
Yeah, I'm still wondering what Artillodrome was doing in most of this Annihilator. It just seems to be hanging about in the background most of the time.
It was doing its best.
Yeah, it put the mace on and was trying to use the mace because, I don't know, I guess the pickaxe wasn't good enough. They couldn't just... Because, you look at... It probably could have worked well against Spawn a Scudder. Just put some nice holes right into the lid. But no, this little mace, way better.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, we're still not fully sure why Spawner Scudder was eliminated over Behemoth when Behemoth was probably more damaged.
I'm not sure why it broke down after Razor punched into it, because what did it hit? I mean, there's so much empty space in Spawner Scudder.
It's usual Scudder reliability. I think that's the best explanation I can give, because they're such reliable robots.
Spawner Scudder was the most reliable of the robots, though.
That's saying a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. The plastic one is the best one.
Nothing will be as bad as Series 6 Spawn again, though. We always know that.
Oh god, don't even
mention
it.
I mean,
I hate that thing.
I mean, Series 7 went out more spectacularly, granted, but the Series 6 one was definitely the most rubbish, in all honesty. But and also and also. Damn it, you beat Supernova, I'm so annoyed at that. But
Supernova was robbed. I love Supernova so much.
Always will.
Yeah, when it works.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, again, aside from some of those highlights, there wasn't really, a lot... Again, the problem with a lot of these robots are very well controlled, so it was just kind of a case of...
It was basically Razor versus everyone, and Razor still came out on top after it unleashed its Super Cena powers.
Yeah, it's like the running theme throughout this whole thing is that Razor does a lot of the damage or aggression, and then Onslaught.
The camera just seems super glued to Razor's ass.
Yeah,
entire
and also it kind of foreshadowing who's going to be the final two, because Onslaught was always one that was the second most active, flipping and always getting self-righting, all that kind of, and always being in the action as well. And Behemoth, did a bit.
They were treating Onslaught as unproven underdogs, but at this point, Onslaught was a former Heat finalist.
Nice.
And been here for quite a while.
That was true.
Yeah, well, went out in series. Well, let's see. Behemoth's a semi-finalist. Spawn a Scudder's a semi-finalist. Vercingetorix is Vercingetorix.
Yeah.
Attila the Drum is Attila the Drum.
Onslaught, a former Heat finalist that lost twice to the Bodmin team.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, isn't it?
It's just that they were giving it the terrible treatment. They were treating it as an unproven rookie.
Yeah, for some reason. But Onslaught...
Maybe because it's a lot smaller and it's got all these really big machines around it. It's like the little kid. It's like a little kid trying to get into a wrestling match with a bunch of experienced wrestlers.
I mean, bear in mind, Attila the Drum is the lightest robot in this entire Annihilator, which is weird to think.
Really?
Yeah, actually, Onslaught's the heaviest.
What?
Yeah, it is, because everyone else is 80 kilograms, apart from Onslaught is 80.2, and Spawner Scudder is 78.8, and Attila Drum is 74.4. Giant motor. That's all I can really say.
Giant motor, a bunch of pneumatic system going on in there, and meanwhile, Attila the Drum is a BMW. Battery, motor, wheels.
And it's pretty hollow inside, you know, because the whole thing kind of rotates all the electronics, so it's kind of not meant to be too bulky. But
as previously mentioned, Spawner Scudder is massive, but there's so much empty space in there.
Plus Blackbots don't tend to be like really heavy anyway in general compared to like, you know, regular machines. So because usually they're meant to be just kind of, you know, whackers and stuff as opposed to like any loads of massive complex internals. Unless you're Gabriel, in that case you're awesome. But for some reason, Spawner Scudder went out. Don't ask me why.
Because you know, just because this one's dead, but Behemoth over here, it's kind of moving. See, look, they're good.
Yeah.
No, no.
Well, one thing they could have done is they could have used the magic of editing to make Behemoth look like it got immobilized first, and then reinstate Spawner Scudder behind the scenes.
No, we can't have nice things.
No, and now the best round obviously is round 3, clearly.
Oh. Okay.
Superb. I mean, it's so great how you see literally none of the robots but Behemoth. I mean, it shows you how good Behemoth is. You know, it shows, you know, camera's always on Behemoth, you know, showing what they're doing. And then, obviously, yeah, gearbox, they couldn't fix it in time. Something with when the gears slipped out of place. So, yeah, this is
They said it only took half hour to replace. Why not just give them the half hour? That's not a lot of time, to be honest.
They must have been tight on schedule or something. I think they only gave them like a strict time limit.
I think because these Christmas specials, I believe that they were all filmed separately. Because if you look at the tag team event, it's just the tag teams are there, and I think in this Annihilator, it was just the Annihilator teams there, and I guess they just wanted to give the teams like a half hour to get going because you still got an audience out there waiting for something to happen.
That's true, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember bringing it up in the tag team special. All the teams just huddled in the corner, and in the background was just an empty pits.
Yeah, but yeah, Behemoth, because of shenanigans, as usual, gets eliminated, and this is not going to be the last Annihilator where this kind of stuff happens. So look forward to that in the future. Woo! I'm looking at you.
That's one episode you're not getting me on is the Series 7 Annihilator, James. I refuse.
But it's got the House Robot Rebellion. That match was awesome.
That's one thing in the entire episode.
Yeah.
And then, well, you never know. I might join you guys. I'll be your support.
Yay! We need support. But yeah, so now on to round. Now,
alas, poor Behemoth was broken.
Indeed. And then round 4 was
deleted.
Round 4 was
we gotta stop interrupting James now.
It's fine. I was just all I was going to say was round 4 was essentially Attila the Drum trying to do something, then realizing pretty quickly it's the weakest robot in the arena, and going, oh crap, I actually got to fight people now because I'm exposed. It did alright. I'm not saying it didn't do terribly, but I'm saying it kind of realized I've actually got to do stuff now because.
That Razor with some noticeable scars that you could see in the next match.
There were some scars. There were scars, but
I will say this: if Attila the Drum hadn't broken down at the end, it probably would have gotten this match over Razor, because Razor, for the most part, wasn't doing anything until the last 10 seconds. It was driving around. It could not get a hold of either machine. It was Onslaught was getting some wax in. Did I say Onslaught? Or Razor was just getting attacks from both of them. It couldn't get Attila. It couldn't get Onslaught. It was just right up until the end when Onslaught just pushed Attila into Kill-A-Lot, and Kill-A-Lot just lifted Attila the Drum up into the air like, "Hey, it's beer time for some beer, everybody. Let's get drunk." And
I think it popped one of Attila's wheels out. Because when it was lifted up, you could see one of his wheels like go out of place.
Yeah. Also,
so I think the Kill-A-Lot's claw popped one of his wheels out.
Yeah. Some of the fur came falling off it as well. It wasn't bad in natural heat, but it set on fire. But you know, it was still it did look a bit like a slightly defeated machine, unfortunately. Even though it was commendable. You know. Again, unfortunately, Razor now narrowed it down to the 2 robots that could barely get a hold of as well as the other 3. So
yeah, but well done to Attila. They actually did try in this match, and they did decently well until they got fisted.
All I can say is they did more than Stinger did in the Northern Annihilator. So You know,
Yeah.
give them credit. And they're grand finalists.
I don't even remember Stinger doing anything in its Annihilator except just running around.
Exactly.
It attacked Chaos 2 after it died.
Yay! Wow. Well done.
It was just like, I did my thing.
And we won't see this team again until Series 7, so...
I actually like their Series 7 robot.
Yeah, I like Jackson.
And it's still... And Jackson Wallop, it still managed to leave a mark. Shunt still got that scar in his scoop to this very day.
Yeah, Caliban 2.0.
Yeah. One thing I was waiting for at the end of this match was just like an after-match interview with Razor, and just Ian Lewis just goes, "Some of us are gentlemen. Some of us hold back."
He'll never live that one down, will he?
No.
Not as long as the internet stays around.
I wonder if they did have interviews for the other losing teams, but they just didn't air them because of time.
It must be the time thing, 'cause there's a lot of rounds, isn't there, and stuff. I mean,
even though this episode had 4 matches.
Yeah, I don't know. TV's crap sometimes. This kind of stuff. You have a slight tight time limit, and you know. Was it as bad with yours when they had the edited version in America? Where it just, or was it kind of mostly just interviews cut out, wasn't it? Or was it?
Yeah, they cut out all the interviews. They cut out all the little Craig Charles things, and they stuck China, aka Joni Lawler, in really revealing lingerie. I know that sucks, but yeah,
damn it,
that's what you get.
America.
Hey, if you want to see boobs on Robot Wars, there you go.
Yay!
The fact he isn't in the Hall of Fame yet is disgusting. I'm sorry. I know this is Robot Wars video, but yeah.
Well, you know, Mick Foley and China hosted Robot Wars at some point, so there you go, wrestling references.
And time for
I love both of them.
And it's the final after Terminal Drum broke down. A very commendable effort from Onslaught, honestly. I mean, obviously Razor was holding back slightly for the certain thing that will happen in a sec, but always we'll talk about the fight before we actually get to the end game of the of the episode. But Onslaught ended up getting kind of stuck, unfortunately, on its. I mean, that was the one flaw with the self-writer, wasn't it? Kind of.
It didn't self-write when it was tipped on its side.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Onslaught's wheels were kind of perfectly capable of keeping it on its side without. They tried to self-write and move a bit, but it was a lost clause. I mean, Onslaught, it was very commendable. It wasn't a bad, it wasn't like a absolute, one-sided match. I mean, Razor did was obviously more on top at most points, but they definitely had the chance to. If they kept up the driving and stuff, they could have had some good flips on Razor and stuff because they had proven they could. But
also, this match contained one of the more infamous Jonathan Pierce fuck-ups. If you guys didn't notice.
Which one was that one again?
Razor clamps down on the wheel, and then Jonathan Pierce says, "I don't think that wheel was damaged." Oh, it was. It was the wrong wheel.
Well, the other wheel got damaged in the end of the last match too. So
but the way he was talking about it was like Razor did like extended damage to that wheel, but no, it was the wrong wheel. It was on the other side.
Yeah. Actually, I just realised in retrospect.
Even as a dumb kid, I noticed that.
I must have realised in retrospect, because obviously this series is aired in between, like, around Heat L, something like that, K, around that kind of time. So obviously it was around Christmas, so in between this Series 4. How, if you liked Onslaught, how disappointing must it have been getting all the way to Hypnodisc's Heat and going, oh, Onslaught's here. They're out. They're not even in.
Nah.
I know, exactly, because obviously you don't, because when you're young, you might not grasp the concept that things are filmed out of order. So you might have thought, oh, it's all filmed at the same time, or this is aired in order.
Instead we get Diet Firestorm.
Yeah, Diet Firestorm. This I consider Onslaught Diet Behemoth because they both have the scoop flipper.
I'd agree with that one more. But of course, the actual battle really isn't the thing we're watching. The thing we're watching is Matilda getting fucked up.
Quite literally.
Yes. I mean, she broke.
I didn't realise we were watching the Hunger Games.
No, I'm sure Jonathan Pierce was secretly loving this, as we know from Shunt posting. He's
well, we didn't see Jonathan Pierce, so for all we knew, he was secretly naked and masturbating over this.
Don't bring that image.
I do not need to see. I do not need to imagine that.
That could be.
Did I upset you guys?
Yes, you've ruined this whole episode for me. I can never watch it again.
You're not appearing in any episodes again now, honestly. But
come on, I'm already fucked.
I'm joking, but Matilda. I mean, again, the reason why is
that's one for the Shunt posting page.
Get on that. I mean, obviously, the consensus. The reason why I don't know if it's officially confirmed, but the main reason it's the fact that obviously they were going to redo Matilda, obviously with the flywheel and all that, and redesign her. So they said, you know what, you can fuck up Matilda if you want. We don't care. We're not going to use this thing again.
Yeah, I saw in an interview, Vinny Blood said, "Oh, if you beat Onslaught, you can go ahead and just have surprise butt sex with Matilda while you're at it." I'm trying to keep as quiet as possible because my mother is in the room.
Oh.
Hi, Brandon's mom.
I got my headphones on. She can't hear you.
Josh, I can't imagine that. Like, I always imagine like Matilda didn't know about this deal, and like you know, like I like that quote from Commando. You know what I said. I'll kill you last. I lied. They just crunch straight in. You feel so. I mean, even obviously, as someone who didn't know the background to the fact that obviously when I was young, when I first watched this, like, you know, that Matilda was meant to be destroyed because it's the last thing filmed.
Yeah, this was. You can kind of tell it was fixed because number one, if you look close when Onslaught lifts Matilda up slightly, you can see one of the oil rags that they had stuck in Matilda's electronics. It was hanging out of her wheel well.
Yeah,
and also when they drag Matilda onto the flame jet, and you're like, if I was a producer and this wasn't fixed, I'd be like, what the bloody hell are you doing? You're killing our robot here! Stop it! Stop it! And then towards the very end, the house robots just turn heel on Matilda and push her onto the flame pit, and it's like, wow, what a complete betrayal.
Actually, no. Sakilla was just trying to push Matilda to the ref bot to extinguish.
Yeah,
right. And Sergeant Bash was doing exactly the same thing, and then Dead Mel was trying to.
Oh yeah, really.
Dead Mel was trying to finish the match as quickly as possible by pitting Onslaughts.
Sure.
Did you not have your eyes open, Brandon?
I don't know. Maybe I was blind in one eye because I know Matilda was definitely blind in one eye at the end of that match.
No.
Oh, that was cold.
But in fairness, though, it's like, you know, she's gonna die now, but she will come back in a better form. And after that, not many robots want to face Matilda as much as they did before, and went straight for Shunt and Sergeant Bash afterwards, because he's the easy target now. Because, like, you know, before it's like, oh, he's got a chainsaw, oh, what's that going to do? Flywheel.
And to date, only two...
an American robot that went after Matilda after that. Goddamn Brits.
Well, Apollo, don't forget Apollo.
Oh yeah, Apollo would like to, yeah. If Apollo flipped everything over at some point, almost.
Reboot is not in the same canon as the original series. As someone who makes OCs and fan fiction, I should know this.
Yep, wow. So, as we all know, Tricerabot and Matilda are our best ship.
Yes. I can imagine Tricerabot, Matilda, and Steg just having a nice day out together. No, not with the flywheel though. That would hurt.
The real funny story is, so they gave Matilda her flywheel, and she spent Series 5 Extreme and the first series of Extreme Warriors just battering everybody, and then in between Series 5 and 6, they had Extreme Warriors Series 2, and they gave Matilda that new big pink flywheel. So here's the story. According to Mike Morrow, the guy who built Tricerabot, Matilda's flywheel was too overpowered. So the producers decided, yeah, I think this might be too unsafe for our US bots. Let's go build a Matilda with the chainsaw tail again and have her use that. So for the US Championship, Matilda has the chainsaw. She never uses the chainsaw. She just uses her tusks. And then when the special events came around, she used the disc in the tag team and the House Robot Rebellion. She obliterates everything with this. She just completely destroys G-Force, annihilates a washing machine, annihilates Rosie and Snakebite, and then sends...
Silverbox didn't look the same after.
and then also one of the big things, she sends Medusa Oblongata, which is a huge robot. It's roughly the size of, I don't know, the size of my desk here, sends it flying out of the arena like nothing. That's how insanely powered Matilda's flywheel got.
I remember seeing that. I was surprised a robot that big could go that far.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some great hits in the future Matilda will have. I mean, I know there's like really big hits, but the two that always stand out to me, they're not like the most. One's quite famous, one isn't. One of my favorites obviously is Nuts 2 in Series 9. I'm
gonna say that when we saw that, when me and Nate were watching it for the podcast, we both screamed when that happened.
It was great. And actually one it's not the biggest hit she ever did, but one I always quite liked was Supernova in Series 5. Just getting fucked up. The whole top panel flying off, and it just like one hit destroyed the entire robot, which is a shame because they were doing well up until that point. But
I remember a really satisfying Matilda hit was in Series 7 in the Heat Final against Saint Agro and Zeros.
Oh, yes.
Zeros shattered as it went out of the arena.
It was horrible to watch, but great.
The underplayer Zeros just shattered as it just flew out.
Yeah, well,
ouch.
It's good they decided to stick to the fly.
Saint Agro as well.
Yeah, just absolute insanity with that flywheel is, and it's good that she still has it. She still uses it, and I don't know. Would you say it still has the same amount of power as it did in the old series? Because it's gotten a few good hits in.
I'd say it's got more power. It just needs a case of getting more chances to do good hits. I mean, obviously, just looking at Nuts 2, we know it can launch things. We just need to do more often.
As the modern day as the competitors in like Series 5 onwards.
Oh yeah, and also I forgot another one I quite liked was it was brutal. It was brutal. It's like Robot Wars torture. Micromute. That was circular lifted. It was almost like the equivalent of like Robot Wars like marshmallows on a fire. Circular lifting up the robot and going. Zzz.
What's the name of the guy who made Micromute in the Mute series?
Ed Hoppet, I think, or no, that was Storm 2. Hang on a minute. Adam Emmett, was it? It is. Say hello, Wiki. Adam Emmett.
Emmett, yeah, I was looking at the same time then. Yeah, Adam Emmett, yeah.
Adam Emmett was just thinking in his head as he was walking out, some of us are gentlemen. Some of us know when to hold.
Jesus, enough of the jokes already.
It
would not be funny.
If that episode aired today, he'd probably have the same social media backlash as Anthony probably would have. It's like,
yeah,
dude. True. When you have if you have a robot that doesn't work and that kind of shit happens to it after you worked so hard to build it, I'd be pissed off too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not really a good look when you're walking out of an interview in front of a bunch of kids.
Oh dear God, no.
We're not getting into that one. That's a tale for Series 9.
It's over and done with. It's over and done with. Series 10 is coming out next month. Behemoth's back. He's hopefully recovered from all that insanity. So
yep. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. If anything, it's more just kind of we'll laugh it off, we'll forgive you, but let's just see what happens now later, type thing. But yeah. So Southern Annihilator. Obviously, before we start, I was gonna say this now before we start like getting into weird ramble territory again. Overall thoughts of the episode.
Well, this was I became a fan of Robot Wars for the Annihilators. The first episode I actually watched was the Extreme Warrior Series 1 Annihilator with Drillzilla 1, and I believe this was the second episode I watched. And as soon as I watched this whole episode, I immediately became a fan just for that thing with Matilda and Razor at the end. But other than that, aside from that, there really weren't all that many highlights. But even with that said, I'd probably give it a rating of a 6 out of 10 because it had its moments, but there were a lot of times where there was some dead space, and especially didn't help that there was no third round.
Yeah,
I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10 honestly as well.
Personally, I found this to be one of the more less entertaining of the Annihilators. Like the Extreme 2 and the first Extreme 1 Annihilator, like wiped the board with the rest, in my opinion. But for what it was all right.
It's serviceable, but not the greatest thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever either. It's just it's a decent Annihilator, but
if they actually focused more on the other robots other than Razor the whole time, then maybe I would have liked it a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's also the choice of the robots, obviously, because aside from robots like Razor and Behemoth, a lot of the robots aren't very obviously, Drum's kind of chaotic, but there wasn't like a lot of chaotic, uber really good robots. And then you had like Chaos 2, you had Dominator 2, you had Stinger, you had Kilohertz, these are like really kind of famous robots and stuff, like, and obviously like a wild card robot like a Spikosaurus and all that. And then this one, obviously you have your Spikosaurus type thing like Attila the Drum. Then everything else is like nothing terrible, but even Razor, while it's good, isn't that entertaining to watch. And Behemoth in Series 4 isn't that entertaining either compared to like what is in the newer series. So
you know what most of these, you know what I just realized? You know what most of these robots are?
Go on.
Wedge Wedges.
Wedge.
Wedge. Yeah, I had to say that. But yeah. So what
my
was
final grading? Oh.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say what your score was actually.
So my final grading is 3 Swiss cheese Matildas out of 4.
Fair enough.
That's nice. That's generous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite generous. But yeah, so that was a Southern Annihilator. At least to its credit, it wasn't false advertising. All the robots are from the south, so I'll give you that. But and obviously,
and then let's not forget what happened after the credits.
Oh, we can't forget that. No.
R.I.P. Rest in peace.
Nah.
CIA. Destroyed in action.
DUIWP. Do you want to bet?
DUIWP is not. Do you want to bet?
B.
DUI.
Spell it out.
DYWB.
DUIWB.
B. B.
Is it?
I wanna bet?
Is it Z or Z?
What? It's DYWB. Do you wanna bet?
D that XYZ. I don't know.
Whatever.
I refuse to pronounce the
DUIWB.
He said DUIWB. It's DYWB.
Yeah, it's DYWB.
Yeah.
Do you wanna bet? Yeah. Oh, anyway.
There's another Jonathan Pierce fuck up for you.
There's a whole collection of them by now. But so yeah, obviously the next episode is the end of Series 4. It is the War of Independence.
USA! USA! USA!
Wow, say that in a Skype room full of Brits.
I see we've got some bias here. You know, in fairness, you did beat us, but you didn't beat us here.
Brandon.
Yeah?
Brandon.
What?
Frenzy wasn't that good.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously joining me for that will be Brandon actually, and also Anderson. That'll be a fun episode. Two people who like to go off topic.
You guys get to talk about one of my favorite matches ever.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Frenzy. I was like Frenzy versus Detonator, but whatever.
Oh no, no.
I love watching it for karmic retribution, but whatever. But yeah, that was
there. Why was Detonator there?
Because they were going. I think it wasn't
Hypnodisc was supposed to be in it, and they pulled out.
Yeah, for some reason.
I guess they just needed an excuse to let an American team into the second round after the epic failure that was the first round matches.
Yeah.
So they just replaced Hypnodisc with a robot that's worse than Shadow and Napalm.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the same team.
Man, Shadow and Napalm. I don't know which was worse then, to Detonator or Shadow and Napalm, honestly, for most embarrassment. They could have just brought Napalm back from Series 3, but whatever.
Oh, hell no, I do not want to see that bug-eyed floppy thing again. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to because I'm reviewing that episode where it's in the tag team event, and we all know how that ended up for them.
True. But
I've got Napalm in a future episode as well, haven't I? I got Napalm in World City.
Yes, yeah.
have fun.
Oh, it's against Warhog as well.
Oh no, that's the worst.
-5 stars.
That's the worst. That's easily in the top 3 worst matches ever. That's Foxic Mr. Speed Squared bad. That's like But anyway, of course. Anyway, that'll be yes. Brandon Anderson joining for that one. Owen to be joining me back at Extreme, obviously, and then after that, obviously, Series 4 is done with. We have Robot Wars Extreme. Not Robot Wars Awesome, Radical, Bodacious, or even Tubular. It is Extreme.
Extreme!
Yeah. Oh, you're doing Extreme first. You told me you're doing Series 5 first. Wow, I'm getting tired of this lying.
No, because again, I'm terrible with order. I thought myself do Series 5 first, but I thought it makes sense to do it there.
Why would you do Series 5 first when Extreme aired first?
I didn't know, because honestly, I didn't watch Series 5, so I saw bits of Extreme but forgot that it aired first. So
I actually have a bit of a tragic story with Series 5 and Extreme. Do I have time to share it now?
I was thinking maybe we should talk about it in actually Extreme and Series 5. I'm just thinking because of this thing's already rambled on for an hour and a bit. This episode, and also before that, mics start cutting out again. So also I'll be editing these out. I'll be editing them out, folks. But I'm gonna have to edit out two of these now, so that'll be fun. But yay! But anyway, yep. So. War of Independence coming up next, then that'll be the end of Series 4, forever, done, out of the way, then on to Extreme!
And then Extreme.
Extreme!
long as I get to talk about the first Annihilator with you, I'll be happy.
I think you are, I believe.
Yay!
First Annihilator. Yeah, you are. You are. Actually, that's gonna be a smorgasbord. We've got Nate, Anderson, Alex, and you on there. This one, so five people on one. That'll be a long episode, but that'll be hard to organise. But that's for the future. But anyway, I'm Jimjamatic signing off.
And I'm the Hardcore Kid.
And I'm the Jester of Mischief, Owen Ratcliffe.
See you later, folks.
Bye.
Bye.